What's up, guys? Welcome back once again. Listen, for those who are into movies based on true stories, its name is Unbroken. So if you want to understand the difference between life and death, this story will give you the answer to that question. But for that, you have to listen to this entire video, friends, so let's begin the story. At the start of the movie, some fighter planes are shown heading to attack a place. Just then, they start getting attacked from below. But these soldiers somehow manage to escape, finally drop their bombs on the target, and start to leave. From here, we flash back and see a small child named Louis who is very mischievous. He does a lot of bad things like drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and much more. When his parents find out about this, he gets a serious beating, but none of this has any effect on Louis. He starts doing those same things again, but on the other hand, his older brother named Peter is completely different. One day, Louis is drinking alcohol in a village and some people catch him. He runs away from them, and Peter sees him running. Seeing him run so fast, Peter is amazed. He goes to him and motivates him to become a runner. He encourages him and says, "You can become a good runner, you run very fast." But Louis tells him, "It's not like that. Everyone can run like me. I'm not like you." But Peter boosts his confidence and assures him, "You can become a good runner in the future. I'll make you practice." After that, he starts making him practice. And sometime later, there's a racing competition at Louis' school, which Louis also takes part in. But he intentionally runs slowly. He didn't want to win, he had no interest in it. But then his brother says to him, "You idiot, 302 lock." And hearing this, Louis gets very angry and starts running at full speed. Seeing this, his opponents are also shocked. And because of running so fast, he wins the race. In the next moment, it's shown that Peter is on a bicycle and Louis is running. Running, he grows up. In the next scene, Louis participates in another race. And the winner of this race will get a chance to participate in the Olympics. And now the race begins. Louis puts his whole heart into this run. Just then, the runner next to him tries to make him fall, but Louis isn't a raw rookie. He moves aside and runs faster, leaving everyone behind, and wins the race. Seeing this, his parents are very happy. His brother is also very happy. He had run so fast he set a new record, 4 minutes and 1 second. No one had run that fast until then. And his selection for the Olympics also happens. While he's going to the Olympics by train, he says to his brother, "Come, you come with me too." But Peter jokingly says, "Go and win. I won't go there just to watch you lose." Louis says, "Yes, I know I won't win, but you watch, in the next Olympics, I will definitely come back after winning." Saying this, he boards the train. And as he leaves, his brother tells him, "No matter how big the trouble, always believe in yourself and never lose courage." Saying this, he leaves, and when he reaches there, his race starts, in which he couldn't do anything special. His whole family was listening to the race on the radio. Hearing this, everyone becomes sad, but they say hope is what keeps the world going. Just as the last lap is about to start, Louis remembers his brother's words and runs so fast that he sets a new world record, completing the last lap in just 56 seconds. And this happened in the 1936 Olympics. Seeing this, the whole stadium starts chanting Louis' name and everyone becomes very happy. His mom, dad, and brother, when they hear the news, are overjoyed. There's no limit to their happiness. And Louis' target was the 1940 Tokyo Olympics, which was going to happen, where he was going to bring a gold medal for his country. But this dream remained just a dream for him because World War started in 1939, which caused the 1940 Tokyo Olympics to be canceled. After this, we jump straight to 1943, which is wartime. Here we find out that Louis has enlisted in the American Army, and with him are 2 other people. They were attacking enemy planes. Their target was a Japanese camp. They succeed in this mission, as we saw at the beginning of the movie. But on the return journey, their plane gets completely damaged. In this attack, one of their comrades is also badly injured. And because of this, they now have to make an emergency landing. But this isn't easy. The pilot tries his best. Meanwhile, one of their tires also bursts. But the pilot doesn't lose courage. He somehow manages to land the plane. After that, we see Louis is still running. His friend is driving alongside him in a jeep. Meanwhile, some more of his friends come and tell him that an order has come. They have to go search for some people who are stranded in the sea. After this, these people take that same plane and take off again, but the plane was completely damaged. After going a little distance, its engine catches fire, and in no time, their second engine also fails. They had no choice, so the plane crashes straight into the sea. In this plane, except for Louis and 2 companions, everyone else dies. They somehow get out using the life raft present in the plane and save their lives. Now, besides Louis, the 2 who survived were named Mac and Phil. Phil says, "Now we won't survive." But Louis encourages him, saying, "How can you give up so easily? We are soldiers. We will definitely survive." Just then, Louis finds some food on the raft, which includes some chocolates and a bottle of water. Seeing these supplies, he tells his companions, "We have to eat 1 piece of chocolate in the morning and evening because we have no idea when and who will come to rescue us." Now they are in the middle of the ocean. Wherever they looked, they only saw water. They spend the whole night on that raft, and the next morning, a ray of hope appears. A plane is passing over them. Seeing this, they become very happy and quickly release a flare. But that plane passes by without seeing them, which completely shatters their hope. Meanwhile, Louis sees that the chocolate packet is completely empty. He gets very angry with his companion Mac. "Did you eat all the chocolate at once?" Louis asks him, "Why did you do that?" Mac says, "I was hungry, so I ate it." Louis says, "This will make a difference, and such a difference that you wouldn't have thought." Now, they stay on that raft for 3 full days, and the effect of being hungry and thirsty for 3 days starts to show on their faces. They are praying to God, "Please, let someone save us." Their prayers are heard, but not for rescue. However, yes, their hunger problem is solved. A large bird comes and sits near them. Seeing it, Louis looks at his companion and thinks that if we have to satisfy our hunger, we have to catch it. After that, Mac suddenly catches the bird and they satisfy their hunger. But that food, instead of going into their stomach, comes out. They all start vomiting. "Friends, it wasn't good food," Louis says, and then Phil thinks, "Why don't we catch fish and eat?" He says, "We even have bait." After that, they fish and eat it to satisfy their hunger. It's not good food for them, but to stay alive, they have to manage. Friends, you can imagine what its taste would be like, but when you have to save your life, anything works. They found one thing for hunger, but trouble doesn't decrease. Another trouble arrives. That same night, a storm comes in the sea and big waves start rising, which makes them very scared. But the next moment, it starts raining, and after so many days, they drink water to their fill. Everyone's condition had become very bad. But on the 27th day, they see hope again. Another plane passes over them and they signal and release a flare. But the airplane is not American but Japanese, which, instead of saving their lives, attacks them. And after this, all 3 jump into the water to save their lives. But the Japanese fighter plane keeps firing continuously, because of which their life raft gets holes. Now they have only 1 raft left and they have to survive for several more days on this. They have now been in the sea for 45 full days, and no human can stay alive for 45 days with so little food and water. And the same happens with Mac. He can't handle these conditions, because of which he dies. Louis becomes very sad and leaves him in the sea, and then both start waiting for their death, but something else was written in their fate. After a few days pass, they see a shadow in this harsh sun. But this was going to bring a new darkness for them, friends. And this shadow is not of a tree, but of a Japanese ship. Japanese soldiers capture them and take them to a Japanese camp, which is in the middle of the jungle. The head there recognizes Louis because he has a newspaper cutting that had Louis's Olympic photo. So it's wartime, so there's a war going on between America and Japan. Because of this, Louis is an enemy soldier. And to take out the enmity, they keep these people locked in a dark room and beat them a lot. The next day, they ask them to take off their clothes, and Louis and Phil take off their clothes and kneel down. Now Louis can't bear all this, and tears start falling from his eyes. And friends, this is a very emotional scene. A few days later, these people are sent to a new Japanese camp where thousands of American soldiers were kept as slaves. We see that there is terror all around the camp. Everyone was being tortured a lot. The person in charge of the camp is named Corporal Watanabe, who hates Americans intensely. He tells all the people, "We are all Americans and America is our enemy. You will be treated accordingly." And Louis is looking at him. All the people are broken, but Watanabe's eyes are on him, and the corporal goes to him and says, "Look into my eyes." As he looks at him, he hits him with his stick and says, "Never look at me by raising your eyes." Here we find out that this is not an ordinary camp. Here, even good people lose courage. After this, night falls and all the soldiers go to sleep. But where they sleep is extremely bad. Even an animal couldn't live there, but they are helpless, so all the soldiers sleep there. The next morning, Watanabe tells all the people, "Among you, there is an Olympic runner." He asks, "Who is the Olympic finalist?" Then Louis raises his hand, and he makes him race against one of his academy runners. But Louis, friends, is very tired, injured. He doesn't have enough strength to run. Because of this, he falls right there. Seeing this, Watanabe comes to him and says, "You are nothing. You are not worthy of winning the Olympics." And he starts beating him in his injured state. Notably, friends, he was taking out all his enmity by beating Louis. He was only targeting Louis. Perhaps he knew this was not an ordinary soldier. He knew he wouldn't give up so easily. Now in this camp, there were also some soldiers who were planning to escape. But this attempt fails, and when Watanabe finds out about this, they are treated like animals and beaten badly. One day, Louis and Phil, while working, look at the sky and say to each other that American planes have come quite close now. They could attack at any time, and Watanabe sees them talking like this. And then he wakes them up at midnight and beats them with a belt. He beats them a lot. And after a few days pass, some people come to the camp on Japanese radio who call Louis and tell him, "The American army is telling your family that you are dead. Would you like to tell your family that you are still alive?" So Louis agrees to their offer and goes on the radio to give proof that he is alive. He says, "For the first time in 2 years, I am talking to you." He tells his family, "Don't worry about me, I am absolutely fine. I am in a Japanese training camp." And he lies that nothing wrong is happening to him. He tells his parents, "Dad, keep your gun ready. When I come back, we will go hunting." And he tells his mother, "Mom, I miss your food a lot." And lastly, he tells them Merry Christmas and starts crying, friends. And when his family, his mother, hears this news, she cries a lot, feels very regretful. They become very sad remembering his video. After this, the Japanese officers give him a paper and ask him to sign it, saying that he has to say whatever is written on it on the video. Actually, friends, the paper had very bad things written about America. And after reading this, Louis refuses to sign, saying he cannot betray his country. The Japanese officers tell him again, "If you sign, you can live a comfortable life like some Americans." But Louis refuses to do so, after which he is sent back to the camp. And where Watanabe welcomes him, he says, "I knew from the first day that you are strong like me. We could have been good friends, but that won't happen because you are American and I hate American people." He says, "You have only one flaw, you don't obey. But today I will teach you how to obey." After this, Watanabe makes Louis stand in front of all the American soldiers and says to everyone, "Everyone come forward and punch Louis once." But the American soldiers refuse to hit him. And then Watanabe brings Phil, who was very injured. They had beaten him so much that he was badly wounded. And Watanabe says, "If you don't start punching him, I will beat Phil so much that he will die." Louis, panicking, tells everyone, "Come, hit me." After that, all the people start slapping him, punching him one by one. And after being hit by so many people, Louis is now badly injured. But he saves his friend from dying. Seeing this, you might feel like crying because you might be feeling Louis's pain somewhere. Now, a few days later, the cold season arrives and it starts snowing in the camp. All the prisoners do a comedy show so that they can laugh a little and forget all their pain. Then Watanabe comes and sits next to Louis. He tells him, "I got a promotion in my memory." And hearing this, Louis becomes happy inwardly because Watanabe is leaving from here. And a few days after Watanabe leaves, the camp is bombed. Many Japanese soldiers are killed. Their camp is also no longer livable. It was completely on fire, and because of this, the next morning they are shifted to another camp, which is in Amari. When they reach there, all the prisoners are standing in line, and then they see the person in charge of the camp, who is none other than Watanabe. And seeing him, the ground slips from under Louis's feet. He staggers, but his companions save him from falling. And Louis understood that Watanabe would not let him live in peace. After this, we see that camp, which is worse than the previous one. The prisoners who were already present there were very weak and injured, but despite this, they were being made to work. The work here is extremely dangerous. They have to unload coal from a ship. They had to do this work in the cold. And once, when Louis and others are loading coal, a prisoner faints and falls from a height, which causes his death. Seeing this, all the prisoners standing there become very scared. And a few days later, while Louis is working, a Japanese soldier pushes him, causing him to fall, and he gets a deep cut. Meaning all these prisoners are tortured a lot here. But even after falling, Louis doesn't lose courage. He gets up again and starts working. But how long can any person work in such cold without eating or drinking anything? And one such day, Louis, while working, starts to rest a little. Seeing him resting, the Japanese soldier takes him to Watanabe. He says, "This one is not working." And in this movie, there is a scene that will make your hair stand on end. Watanabe says to him, "Pick up that wooden beam in front of you," which is very heavy. Louis was not in a condition to lift such a heavy thing. But he uses all his strength and lifts it, and Watanabe says, "Hold it over your head." And he does that too. Then Watanabe tells his soldiers, if he lowers this wood, shoot him. Some time passes and slowly the wood starts to come down. Seeing this, silence falls over the whole camp. What will happen? All the people stop working and start looking at Louis. Everyone was thinking, will the soldiers shoot him? And all the soldiers also start looking at Louis. But then Louis remembers his brother's words, "No matter what happens in life, never lose faith in yourself." Louis is an Olympic runner, friends. How could he give up so easily? And a few moments later, he shouts loudly and lifts that wood over his head again. After that, he starts looking at Watanabe with fierce eyes, and Watanabe can't bear this. He keeps saying, "Stop looking at me," but he doesn't stop. And finally, Watanabe comes to him and starts beating him, but Louis keeps looking into his eyes. Meanwhile, he starts remembering his training days, and along with that, his family, his brother, everything starts coming back to him, that his whole family would be proud of him later. And when Watanabe feels that the beating with the stick is having no effect on him, he starts punching him. He starts hitting him with punches, but he also finally gets tired of beating him and sits down right there. Now he didn't even have the courage left to get up and go to sleep. He lay there all night, and the next morning, after a few days, all the prisoners are lined up together. And the Japanese officer says to them, "For the new future of our country, you are all being given a chance to bathe." But all the people think that perhaps they will be killed. They all start bathing in that river. And just then, a plane is seen in the sky. As it comes closer, everyone jumps with joy because that ship was American, and American ships are bombing Japan. This means the war is over, and they are all free now. Seeing this, all the prisoners jump with joy. After so many difficulties, they had finally been freed. Now the planes start dropping supplies from above. It contains food and drink items like you get in aid packages. But Louis, who is still in thought about why Watanabe hated him so much, goes in search of Watanabe before leaving. But by then, Watanabe had already left from there. Louis sits right there and starts looking at his childhood photo. Finally, friends, he comes to his country, America, and as soon as he arrives, he first kisses the soil of his country and then hugs his family and starts crying. With this, the story ends here. Friends, this entire film is based on a true story. At the end of the story, the real photo of Louis Zamperini is shown, and it is also told that he got married in 1946, after which he had 2 children. Also, his friend Phil, whom we saw in the movie, also settled down and got married. And Watanabe, who was given the tag the Bird, hid for many years. No one found out about where he went. Now, friends, many years later, Louis went back to Japan to meet Watanabe. But he didn't meet him. Finally, it is told that Louis fulfilled his dream of running in the Olympics again, and that too at the age of 80. Seeing this, you might remember a line, "Records are made to be broken and dreams are seen to be fulfilled." So how did you like this film? Please tell me by commenting below. If you want to see many more such films, want to hear stories, then definitely comment below. Billions of thank you so much for watching. Peace out.